Hello.
Hello.
So I think we're live now.
We made it.
So I know there's a little lag, so you should take a couple minutes before it actually shows up in the YouTube channel for you to be able to watch it, and if you're in there right now. So I'll give it a couple seconds. But as that happens, I just again want to welcome everyone. I hope you're having a good day, whether it's morning or evening, depending on what part of the world. We're really excited about this opportunity just to answer a few questions. We've been wanting to do this.
And we're hoping to do it more often. So again, thank you whether you're joining us live or if you're watching this after the fact. And also, we're doing this for a variety of people. We have students from all over the world, and we have students that are focusing on improving their lives in different areas. So whether you're trying to transform your own life, or if you're transforming the life of others as a coach, and whether you're trying to create your own business, again, either as a life coach or any other type of business, any questions are fair game.
Yep.
And so with that being said, we're just doing quick checks to make sure everything is working and that our feed is showing and that we are in fact live. Let me just double check here.
I don't see it popping up yet.
I think it will for me.
It's not popping up. We should probably go direct.
Let's see here. Interesting. It's not showing.
Not showing. So actually what we're going to do is that we're going to try to reboot it
I'm going to try this again.
to see if we can get it working. All right, I think we're back. So
we're here. We made it. We're live, ready to go.
we had a little glitch. Okay, now it's showing. Before it was showing as private, so people weren't able to see it. So we had to reboot it to make sure that we were able to be a part of it, and we could see if you have any questions or anything like that. So we are live. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions below, and hopefully we can see them and answer it as we go along. So
And if you're watching the replay of this, you can also comment and leave questions, because the next time we do a Q&A, we will look back through any follow-up questions that we received after the fact, or you can contact us through our website or anywhere else where we connect. And so again, welcome. We are doing this Q&A today for our students and clients from every different genre we work in. And so whether you're here because you're trying to transform your life, or if you're a life coach and you're trying to transform the lives of others, if you're working on developing a business, whether it's a coach or any other type of business, any questions are fair game. And we have a number of them that have been submitted in advance. So again, we look forward to doing more of these in the future. So please feel free to submit questions even if you're watching this after we're done.
Yep, and I just want to say thank you for the people that did submit questions, and also for those people that send us a message. We get messages on a daily basis, whether it's an email, whether it's a message through our platform, or whatever it may be where you connect to us. Where you share with us how you're applying some of this information that you've learned from some of our programs or books or whatever it is, and how you're applying it to your life, or you're applying it in the life of other people, and how what you're doing in your current journey. And it's always empowering just to see how many people within our circle are really impacting people's lives, how they're contributing at different levels. And it truly is inspiring for us every day, just like you, if you're watching this, is because your main goal is to be able to contribute to the life of others. And for us, it's the same thing. So we love contributing. We love watching other people contributing and knowing that there's so many people from around the world that have the same vision and purpose to make a difference in people's lives. So.
Well, and it's really fun for us not only to find out how some of our clients or customers or students have applied what they've learned to their own lives, but also to see what they're doing to help other people. So for instance, one of our coaches shared, I think it was earlier today, that they had their first coaching client and they finished like a 10-week program, and the person that they were coaching was a musician who wanted to make it in the world of music as a rapper, and he was kind of feeling stuck, and he felt like he really needed a music video, but he didn't feel like he had a budget for it. And through the coaching, he ended up creating his own music video, which I watched it came out awesome. Did it on a shoestring budget, did it quickly, got it out there, and really that just goes to show the benefit of a coach and being willing to reach out for help and learn. And so we're excited when we hear stories like that.
That's right. So I guess we'll get started. Again, if you have any questions, you can post them in the comments and we should be able to see them. So the first question was asked by Dana. It was, my current life coach gives me free sessions and she's doing this for a year of free coaching before she's going to start charging as a way to get feedback, improve and stabilize her practice before she starts asking others to pay. Would you recommend this? In other words, in your personal opinion, when are you ready to officially life coach that charges money? And obviously that is a personal decision, but I'll give you my feedback and what I've learned not only from our own journey, but also working with other coaches as well and what they've experienced. And I personally strongly disagree with coaching for free, first of all, especially coaching for free for a prolonged period of time. I could understand if you just get started and you're doing like 1 or 2 clients just to get your feet wet, to get that anxiety or fear out of the way of having your first client and really wanting some feedback. But one of the issues that I've seen mostly, and I'll talk about this from 2 perspectives. I ran a program for a federal agency, which was counseling/coaching. We were helping people. And when we were doing it for free, people were not as committed. And I found this in coaching, I found this in workshops, I found this with other coaches doing it, that when you're giving a free service, what happens is that people aren't as committed as getting the results. So you're not going to get a factual perception or view of how powerful your coaching can be. Because when you tell people they should be invested in their development, they should be invested in their growth. But what happens if they're not invested at all? Because they don't see the value in what they're doing. Because they're not actually paying for it. So you might have clients that don't show up to their sessions. You might have clients that don't follow through. But if they're actually paying something, it gets them more invested into actually looking and producing the results that they truly want to get, because they know that they're actually spending money to get there.
Well, and we want to be clear that it doesn't mean you can't offer like free introductory sessions.
No.
So if you're doing 1 session or even 2 as a way of someone trying you out, that is a completely different story. But long-term offering of free coaching, it has a variety of things that are not good about it. Obviously that you're going to run out of time in your life. Like, how many clients can you possibly do for free? And for how long? Because at some point it needs to be rewarding for you as well. And not only is it an issue of them not paying for it and not following through or taking it seriously, but it also makes you not take it seriously. It makes you not be as invested in it, because if someone's paying you to do it, then you're going to follow through and you're going to bring your A game. Whereas if it's free, especially if the person isn't really responding like they're committed, then you're not going to be committed either. So it's better for you, both of you. And if you're feeling that it's just like I'm not certain that I'm worth charging my full fee yet, there's no reason why you can't do it at a discounted rate when you first start. And you can even tell people, hey, for my first 10 clients, I'm offering 50% off because I appreciate the opportunity to work with someone. You know, there's other ways of going about it. Just the free will slow you down, especially for a year. Like, I can understand why people do this, but the truth is that if you're not feeling confident, the only way you're going to feel confident is to coach. And the only way you're really going to feel confident that you can get paid for it is to charge for it. No. So coaching is not something that you need to go to a 2 or 4 year college to get a degree in. You don't have to do an internship. It's not, to be honest, it's not that complicated. And really every coach that we've ever worked with that has this problem, it's always a lack of feeling confident. Mm-hmm. But it's not about coaching for free to become more confident. It's about developing your confidence in a variety of other ways to make yourself follow through on it, and then you'll feel confident because you followed through and you had success.
And realistically, as a coach, when you're first starting with a brand new client, obviously the longer you go through being a coach, the more diversity you're going to see with clients and their issues and what you're dealing with and your approaches and stuff like that. But there's always going to be that uncertainty to a certain degree. So it's important to remember that it's all about continuing to grow and develop in your process. And also part of it is that people say, well, I'm going to do it for free for a year, and then those clients will transition to then paid clients, which a lot of times doesn't happen, because when you start giving away your services, especially if you're doing it for a free introductory session is very different. If you're doing it long term, what happens is that then what happens when you try to tell them, hey, I'm going to start charging you for what I've been giving you for free for 6 months, $50 or $100 an hour. So for them, it's a lot of times I haven't seen that there's a transition where people actually retain a lot of those clients because they don't have that perception of value because you were never able to give it to them. At the same time, charging is also an art form. Asking for payment is an art form that you have to develop as a coach. So it's not just about coaching, it's about approaching someone and then developing a way that you can express the value that they're going to get and get them excited about the value that they're going to get working with you. And then telling them after the fact, obviously how much it's going to cost, but at that point it's irrelevant because they see the value. But if you're not practicing developing that side of it, if you're just practicing developing free coaching, you're never going to actually be able to transition. So if you spend a whole year without getting a foundation of how to be able to sell your services at the same time, then you're going to spend a long time also then trying to develop that service. So you should develop both services at the same time as far as your foundation.
Well, and really, to be perfectly honest, offering free coaching, especially for that long, is really just a way of avoiding being prepared. Because like he's saying, when it comes to collecting payment, maybe the reason why someone would offer free coaching long term is because they feel uncomfortable asking for payment. Well, there's lots of ways that you can set up your coaching where people are paying for it in advance. It's through your website, they're paying, you don't have to ask them for it, and if anything, they have to pay for it in order to even book the appointment in the first place, and it makes it so it takes that awkward personal part out of the payment process. And then also being prepared by saying in 1 year or whatever arbitrary goalpost you put for yourself, I'm going to coach free for 2 months. Well, how is it that you know that 2 months or 1 year is going to make you prepared?
Yeah.
So instead, make a list of questions to ask yourself that would help you identify, do I feel ready to charge? So if you had 5 questions, and after every time you do a free coaching session, you ask yourself these 5 questions, that if you answered yes to all 5 of those questions, it's a signal to you that you're ready. And then every time, ask those questions. And once you do a coaching session and it went really awesome and you read the 5 questions and you can say yes, 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 that means you're ready. So it doesn't mean you give yourself a specific time frame, but you can give yourself some sort of a benchmark that you need to reach in order to know for yourself that you're ready. So we can't tell you when you're ready. Only you can do that. But it's more important to sit down with yourself and identify what would I need in order to be ready, and then how can I test this for myself.
And again, just remember, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, that you're never going to feel fully ready. You just have to dive in, but there are certain skills that you might have to develop in the meantime. And obviously you develop a foundation of those skills, and then when you're working with people, you then realize, okay, I still need to develop this area. You continue to do that and you continue to grow. And we've seen that with our own clients. We've had long-term clients where we grow and we see them grow as we continue to grow. But again, it makes us more committed. Even as a speaker, I've had many conferences and workshops, especially when I started initially where I was doing it for free, but all of a sudden somebody said, I'm going to pay you thousands of dollars to come speak for an hour. My perception of going up there and speaking changed dramatically, where I wrote my whole script. I practiced it every day. I memorized it word for word, the way that I was going to stand in certain things, the funny things that I was going to say. Everything was well prepared. Why? Because my expectations that they had on me shifted. My expectation of myself shifted. So as a coach, it also helps you shift the responsibility to yourself of fully being invested and prepared to move forward.
And really, that advice applies no matter what it is that you're trying to do. So whether you're trying to be a coach or coach for free or start charging or any other aspect of your life, it still applies to you. And so I'm going to move on to another question. This one was sent to us in a private message. Basically, the gist of what she said is that I feel stuck. I have a full-time job and I've been doing coaching on the side, but I don't know how I can continue to expand my coaching while working. But I don't make enough to quit, from the coaching. And it seems impossible to get my coaching business making enough for me to get out of my job. And this is something that, as soon as she asked it, we thought it was funny because this is a topic we've been talking a lot about, and we're working on a program that actually addresses this. But it's so common I mean, this is like the entrepreneur's journey of a lot of people. They don't start out as entrepreneurs; they start out in a job, and like it's like, how do you make that transition? So and for her, it's a coaching business that she's trying to work on. But you know, regardless of what it is, or even if you've ever just thought about quitting your job and doing something else, obviously, I want to give props to her for being willing to do the coaching on the side in addition to working full time, because we know how hard that is. We've been there and done that.
Well, it really takes commitment on your part to be able to say, I know that I have limited time, but I'm going to take that time and I'm going to build my foundation for my own business. So for those of you out there that are doing that, I commend you, and that's really what it takes. Because like she said, we've done that many times.
We used to work full time and go to school full time and do side businesses.
Yeah. So and it's really that commitment of that freedom of following my passion and purpose, and it's really what's going to help move you forward. But we do have several different tips for you. So
yeah. So on one aspect we want to address, like with your coaching, what could you do to make more in that short period of time, and then the other side of it is just rethinking the whole let me start a business on the side and try to build it up enough to quit my full-time job. And we're just gonna kind of throw out a couple ideas so that, again, like I said, we're working on something to be able to help people do this. But so first, when it comes to the coaching business itself, it's looking at, okay, I have this many hours in a week that I'm putting into my coaching. How could I use that time more effectively? And it's not like us calling you out saying that you're being unproductive. We're saying literally, if you're going to be meeting with 5 clients a week for an hour each, one thing that we always come back to is, why not create group coaching programs? You could have 5 groups a week and be making 20 times as much. And so basically the theory is, instead of working with individual people 5 different times, you can have a group of 10 people, or who knows, 50, who knows how many. But instead of charging $100 an hour for the one-on-one client, you could charge, you know, $40 for the session for 10 people, and that's $400 instead of $100 in the same hour. And so it's just really a simple math equation, and group coaching is one of the ways that you could get more out of that time and potentially raise that side income higher.
Yeah, and one of the, even just in time, if you don't want to do group coaching and you're just doing like one-on-one coaching, is recognizing that I've met a lot of coaches that spend a lot of time on the road, like, because they have this person scheduled at this time or this person scheduled at this time. But instead of like making it more efficient and saying, well, I'm going to schedule these people back to back, so I only have to drive to this location. So that's just little things that you could do to become more efficient, to really find more balance with your time. At the same time, also what we found is that you have to have, especially when you're starting, have different forms of revenue that, again, are going to help you. Like, we were doing workshops, we started doing conferences, we started doing a lot of things on the side that were also getting us coaching clients, but at the same time they were providing revenue and supplementing our revenue a lot faster with a lot more money than the coaching did. So eventually we could leave our job and know that we could still make this income on the side and not be so dependent on just the coaching alone.
Well, I have a couple things that I want to add to that, but I want to go back to the coaching, because it's not even just like you said, if you go and you meet with people, if, like, for instance, if you have everyone meet you in the same place, and you, like, maybe you rent a spot and they come. Some people do it in their home, some people already have an office, but having them back to back and all in the same location, that helps. But also doing it virtually. So if you are doing it in person, consider doing virtual coaching, because then instead of an hour session taking like an hour and a half or 2 hours, including drive time, it's just an hour, because you don't really have to have a gap in between, and it's just a more efficient use of that time. So when it comes to what he was saying, that this is really what we think of all the things we've seen coaches or other people we know that are starting side businesses do that works the best. It's like he says, is not just thinking, I'm creating one thing that I want to do, in this case coaching, and I want to build this coaching to the point where it makes enough money where I can quit my job. So at a practical level, one thing you have to do is you have to know, like, what your bare bone minimum
to the point
is.
where it
Like,
makes
what
enough money
what
where
do
I
you
can quit
actually
my job.
have to make every month? What would be the minimum you could deal with? So that would be step one.
Minimum
And then also,
like,
it's
what
about
do you actually
identifying what would be the minimum. How could I find a way to like bridge that gap? So say for instance your job pays you $3,000 a month and you get your coaching to the point where it's making $1,000 a month. So you have a $2,000 gap. You would need that extra $2,000 a month to be able to quit your job. So think about ways that you could bridge it. So one would be saving up like that extra money you're making on the side over time and maybe buying yourself say 2 months worth of your salary so that when you quit your job you have 2 months of salary paid for, which would give you time to really dive in and make it work. Another thing is instead of thinking of having one full-time job and trading it in for a business, try this idea on. What about trading in that one full-time job for 3 to 5 part-time jobs or side gigs, including the one that you really want to develop. And so that's what Joel is meaning, like diversifying where you get your income from. And so I'll give you one example. So someone that I know is looking at being out of their job soon. And instead of saying, my only option is to find another job, what she's doing is she's creating a variety of options. Like she's looking at becoming a real estate agent, which you can do part-time, maybe a travel agent, again, which is something that can be done part-time. She's converting an area of her home into an Airbnb. And she's also looking at starting a food truck. And the food truck and catering company is really what she wants to do, but it's going to take time. So she's having these other options that she's also developing so that, again, like, so if your income was $3,000 a month, that instead of thinking that I need to get my coaching business to replace $3,000 of income, think of I need 3 small businesses on the side that each make me $1,000. And so if you think about it like that, then you might be able to find a faster way to get out of the job. And you're replacing the job with 3 different things that each bring in a smaller amount of money. And as you grow, the main thing you're trying to create, like the life coaching business, then you can slowly get rid of those other things. And for some people, it could be more than 3. I mean, we've met people that have, had a dozen little side things, side gigs, or side hustles.
Not that we're saying that you should have that many, but you can.
I mean, even if it's something you do once a month and it makes you an extra $100, hey, that's $100 you don't have to make somewhere else.
Not that we're saying that you should have that many, but you can.
Like when we even reflecting back on what we did, like for so long we had like multiple businesses and we were always adding to the mix, and it was really just it was a way of like supplementing so that we didn't have to have that full-time job. And then eventually some of them did better than others, and the ones that were really wanting to create like our babies, they finally started to thrive enough that we could slowly let go of the other ones. And that's how we transitioned out of having to work full-time.
So I just see that someone said they just subscribed. We're glad to hear that.
Welcome.
Welcome. And also CC is saying that she's an employment advisor at the YMCA. Background is HR, and we're glad to hear that you're enjoying and getting a lot from some of the things that you're learning from coaching skills that you're getting from us. So we appreciate that. Actually, it does make me think when you mentioned, for example, like the YMCA. I worked with a lot of nonprofits in the past, and one of the things that I did was that I was working full-time in a nonprofit, and I wanted to develop speaking, I wanted to develop coaching and different things at the same time. And actually what I started doing is I started doing internal workshops initially. And then word got out that I was doing that, and then I was able to get contracts with other nonprofits to start doing things within the community. And that started giving me income. So all of a sudden I started getting contracts to do like the Nature's Fathers program, Parenting 21st Century, the PrEP program, which is a relationship program. So all of a sudden I had all these little workshops that I was doing, but I was getting paid a lot more per hour, a lot more than I was getting in my job, so I could easily then replace my income at my job and then do other things on the side. I actually even had a photography company on the side at the time as well that was producing. Because again, at the core, I'm an entrepreneur. I love creating, I love testing new things. So it's always remembering that there's so many things at your disposal that you can do to help yourself move forward and really create that freedom. It doesn't just have to be one thing in particular. You can look at your skill set, you can look at other things that you already have at your disposal that might open doors and opportunities for you to be able to do that. So then you can focus mostly on other things that you want to establish as well. And for us also, it's about developing time to develop things that have passive income. For example, we have a lot of courses, we have ebooks, we have different things that also allows us to have passive income. So then it allows us the space to keep growing and developing in other areas that we want to work.
Well, that's why we're so passionate about some of our programs are about being an influencer, basically taking whatever it is that you know and want and teaching it to other people in one form or another, whether it's online courses or ebooks or blogging or making a YouTube channel. Or coaching is also another type of information product, especially if you're doing niche coaching, which is ultimately what we focus on with all of our training programs. And so really just start out just thinking outside of the normal paradigm. How could you make an extra $200 a month? And come up with as many different ways as you can think. So really just start out and like with, right now they, you know, the term that flies around is called the gig economy. That this is where the future is heading. They're actually predicting where it's like, I don't remember exactly what the stats were, but like where our grandparents would have had like one job their entire lives, and our parents might have had several. Our generation, on average, is having like 5 to 10, and then our children, when they grow up, they might have 5 jobs at a time. Because that is the future of the economy, that people will be working smaller amount of hours for a variety of different things, a lot more entrepreneurship. So, like even just look at, you could do Uber, you know, a few hours here or there when you have time to spare, or you could, you know, do like I was mentioning, like rent out a part of your home on Airbnb. There's so many opportunities now for ways to make extra money, and so you don't always have to think about it like I'm trying to create this humongous business that I need to be able to escape my job. But there's other things you can do that'll help you do it faster, because otherwise it is a long-term game. I mean, a lot of people that we know, they worked on their side businesses for years and years until they bought themselves out of their job. So be patient and be creative.
Yeah, think long-term and realize that it is a long-term strategy. Some people might look at us or other people and say, well, you might be an overnight success, or oh, it's easy for you to say, but they don't recognize the years that it really took to create that. I like even Coca-Cola, you know, they spend the first year when they established the business, they sold 25 bottles of Coca-Cola. So, you know, it's a process, and it's recognizing that for you, it's going to be a process as well in what you're creating.
Yeah, imagine had they given up.
Yep.
Because they only sold 25 the first year. Now they're one of the biggest companies in the whole world.
Yep.
So here was another great question. Basically what it comes down to, she's asking, like, how do you know if you should transition your coaching niche? And then how do you actually make that change? And so just to let you know what her situation was, she was saying that she's a relationship coach. And she's also a therapist, but they're two very different things. But she was saying that with her therapy, she was noting she was getting a lot of clients that were coming to her with issues with codependency. And so she was wondering, since there seems to be a big need, if this would be a good niche to kind of like pare down her relationship coaching to be more specific, because it is very general, and that's what she was struggling with. But she was just, you know, curious, how do you actually make that transition? And the first thing that we addressed was with codependency. It's a good example of how to be careful with using like coach speak instead of speaking and using words and the terminology of the people that you're actually coaching. Because in her situation, like, she can recognize the symptoms and the experience of codependency, but the people in it probably have never heard the word.
Yeah, have no idea.
And they don't know that that's what it is. So she can't say, hey, I'm a codependency coach, because it's not going to get her any clients. And if she did get clients, so she acknowledged this, they'd be looking for clinical services, which would be in therapy, and she's trying to do it in coaching, not therapy. So the solution is she's focusing more on finding the terminology for more of the self-empowerment, which she knows she's coming at it from codependency, but they don't know that.
So part of it is developing an understanding of the terminology. So if it's codependency, what does that reflect on, and what does that look like when it comes to actual behaviors?
And experience.
And experience, so that people can recognize, yep, that's me, and I'm experiencing that. So also other people that you're trying to market to know that you're talking to them about their life experience. And there's many ways of doing that, whether you're going through groups, forums that have to do with relationship and what they're expressing, or, you know, asking your clients, where you're doing ask campaign, where you're trying to get feedback from people about some of those things, so you can understand their terminology and what that would look like.
Yeah, and so she could actually, like, if she has existing coaching clients that are in the relationship realm. She was mentioning codependency happens in all types of relationships, but she has existing client base. She could ask them if they're willing to participate in a survey and ask them questions, especially the ones that she knows were having the codependency situations, just to get like insight as to, you know, have them describe the problems that they're having or the goals that they have. Because by doing that, you're allowing them to use their own words to describe what it is that they really need. And those words are then what you use to describe your coaching package and put in your marketing, so that when people read it, they go, oh, I know what that's like, that's what I'm experiencing. And so just getting outside of your own head and into the mind of your client. So as far as when it comes to actually making a transition, one option is to add in your new coaching niche while you still have your old one. And it's kind of like that diversifying concept we were talking about, is that you can be testing out the new one and developing it while still keeping the one that already exists, that you already have clients, so that you're not necessarily leaving that one behind and making some dramatic shift right away.
Yeah. Well, and that's the important part, is recognizing that you can also get a lot of value from the clientele that you have now into developing your niche, to understanding it. Whether you start doing like webinars and things like that, where they're going to have maybe a passion and give you feedback that's going to help you develop a better aspect of your other niche that you're trying to create. And you never know, they might be interested in what you're trying to create as well. So it's not neglecting that one, but it's also helping you transition. Especially because if you already have a foundation over here, it provides you the opportunity financially to then grow the other one and see what really takes off and see how you can develop it more effectively long term. Well, you're not having to start from scratch.
Yeah, so. And in her situation, she's already a relationship coach. She could definitely offer, like you said, like webinars to the people that she already has that are on that topic, to help gauge how interested they are in that topic, and also, you know, get feedback. But even if she's going after a new audience, it's the same thing. It's really trial and error, just like with anything else. It's putting it out there and doing tests, and you know, if she's really questioning how much people do know that they have codependency, she could do like spend $20 on a Facebook ad and compare two different titles to the ad that you're putting, just to see, you know, which one pulls, because maybe she'll find that the codependency one is like off the charts, and maybe she could make it work as a coaching topic. But really, there's really no way to know. Just like if you're starting from scratch, it's really trial and error. It's doing research. It's finding out if there's, you know, anyone else coaching on that topic, and seeing what terminology they're using. Yeah. And so it's when it comes to transitioning, it doesn't have to be
all or nothing.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
It can be a slow process. You can take your time, do it right, try it out. And what was awesome for her is that her name the name of her business actually fits well under both topics. So personally, I would say do both, and then see how the new one goes.
Yeah, give it time, develop it, and also be able to develop maybe even products or different things that you could put out there, information out there on your new niche, and just to be able to get that feedback. So.
And actually, we get a lot of people that ask a similar question, but really more like, can I have more than one niche? And so we actually get it a lot, like people who are interested in niches that are completely different from each other. So, for example, I'm trying to remember, there was someone that I think they had shared in Facebook about how they work with people with disabilities, and so that's one niche that they were interested in. And then also her personal experience, like what transformed her life, was she had been dealing with chronic anxiety and depression and mental illness, and being on medication and going to therapy and all of these things, and she did a complete 360-degree life transformation, and she shared that it really was all triggered by learning about her brain and how her brain and her mind worked. And once she understood it, because like she's mad because none of the therapists ever told her, the psychologist never told her how her own brain works. So as soon as she found out, she felt really empowered to know she had more power than she thought over her life. And so she started learning it and going deeper into it, and what worked for her was that she completely transformed her life by getting off all of her medicine and stopping therapy. And so we addressed right away, like, obviously she can't go around being a, come off your meds coach, because that could be dangerous for other people. But it doesn't mean she shouldn't share her story, and that other people won't relate to it. And so she was saying, well, I have this story and I'm passionate about the transformation I went through, but I also like this experience of working with the people with disabilities, and maybe I could coach the parents of people with disabilities. And so truly, she could do both of those, and they're completely different. But again, it's seeing which one is the pull. Which one does she find she's the most passionate about?
Yeah. Well, and it's similar. One of our students was talking about something in particular where she was working with parents with disabilities, but she wanted to She wanted to work also with people, like to empower them to create more balance in their life and more joy and different things like that. And she was really wondering if you can mix more than one niche, or what she perceived as separate niches, and it's really helping her understand that, the parents that she's working with, she has a skill set where she's passionate about working with parents, but she also has a skill set in that she's passionate about helping people create balance and more joy in their life, that they probably need that too. So they can mix it together, just like we've had people that were, for example, massage therapists, and they love Reiki, and they also did like yoga or stuff like that, and they wanted to incorporate all these different tools into their coaching. So it's really looking how they could do that, and by doing that, what happens is that you separate yourself from your competition. For example, when I did counseling, a lot of my counseling, one of the things that I'm passionate about is walking in nature. I love walking in nature, and one of the things is I want to get people outside and talking and things like that. So I did a lot of my counseling and even coaching walking with people on the beach or walking with people in a park, and we would sit down on a park bench and then keep walking. One of it is because it stimulates creativity when you're actually walking, but also is following one of my passions and mixing it with another passion that I have. And I was very successful with that because I was very unique with the people I was working with. And we've seen people that develop many different niches together, whether it's using photography, a passion that they have, and with coaching, and then helping youth and using photography as a means of doing that. So it's recognizing that if you have two different areas in your life that you're passionate about, there might be an intersection where you can bring them together to create your own coaching niche, which makes you very unique, makes you one of a kind, and you can really dominate that because there's nobody like you. But there's still a population that's going to have the same passions and are going to want the results that you can provide by having that diversity that you're bringing to the table.
And if you have those multiple areas that don't fit together, there's no reason you can't do like we're saying and diversify, and really you're using the same skills that you're developing as a coach, but in two different areas, and you're marketing them separately, and you have two different groups of clients that you're working with. But there's nothing wrong with that. Just like you don't have to have just one business. I mean, like at one point we had 5 different businesses, and they all kind of interrelated. They either used the same skills we had, or some of the clients were shared between them. But there was no reason we couldn't do more than one at a time. And actually, with our coaching, it was the same thing. And we've told this story before, but it's like at first we were general coaches, and we slowly transitioned to different types. We tried on a whole bunch of different niches. We did happiness coaching and purpose coaching, and relationship coaching, and it quickly went into working with businesses, which led us to be entrepreneurship coaches. And then it continued to evolve from there. And we've tried on a lot of them. Yeah, we love them all.
And we developed all of them, and we had a passion for them. And what we realized is that that we didn't have to choose, but we developed each one independently. And that's really the key, is making sure that you're developing, because what happens to a lot of people is that they get into a specific area that they want to work with. They just test the waters, and they get all excited. In the beginning, there's excitement, there's a lot of movement going on. But when it comes to the grinding part, where you really have to develop the true foundation and make it work, they walk away from it to go to the next shiny object. So what we did was that we developed each area. We tested with clients, we worked with them, we have passion with it, and then we also helped other people be able to do the same thing. But at the same time, we also have many aspects of our business that we have a magazine, we have a book publishing company, we have a t-shirt company that we're about to launch. We used to have a t-shirt company back in the days. We've done import exporting stuff. So we have a variation of passion is because we are entrepreneurs. We still do conferences, workshops, and different things that we love. So,
and really, again, it evolves over time.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people that, especially coaches, that come to us because they're not clear on what their niche is or what they're supposed to be doing. And we always say, just relax and let yourself off the hook, because some people are 100% clear right away and they know exactly what they want to do, but they are the minority. Everyone else has to do trial and error, and that they're not quite sure, and it could take them months of thinking about it to figure out even where to begin. So if that's what you're experiencing, you're definitely not alone. It's extremely common, and that is exactly why we create the material we do, because we know for us that it's always been helpful to have like a structure to follow, and all of these questions to brainstorm, because you have that gift in you, and you probably have multiple gifts that you could offer. So it's about being patient with yourself and giving yourself permission to explore.
Yeah. And one of the things that happens is the more you explore, the more you understand what you don't like. And it's getting clarity of what you don't want out of your life that then gives you more clarity in the things that you want to create in your life.
Yeah. And so the sooner you can actually do it and try it out and do a session on a topic, you can see, oh, I really like this, or no, this one's not the one.
Yeah.
And so then we have another question that came up, and this has come up a lot lately, which is part of what's inspired a lot of anyone who takes our courses. You'll see there's kind of a common theme that we've been talking a lot about in the last few months. And so...
Which is the growth mindset.
Yes, which is the growth mindset. And so this person's question is absolutely perfect. And a lot of people feel this way. The most important thing you need to know ahead of time is do not feel bad if you are also one of these people, because most people go through this. And so she was saying that she finds it hard to write about her passions. So I think she was in one of the courses where she's trying to identify her passions. And she says because she only really likes stuff that she's good at. So she tells a story about how she used to love Zumba, and when she was really in flow, she said she felt like Beyonce, but then she ended up switching groups, and this new group had some people in there that were really, really good, and basically it made her feel like she wasn't good anymore, and so she lost interest. And she says, I'm really hard on myself in everything I do, and it's good, she recognized she's been conditioned, so good job on that. She's been conditioned to feel this way, yay. And ultimately it's like either I like to be the best or I give up, even when it's something that I love. And so the message that we'd like to say here, obviously we could go on and on and on about this topic, but that don't be limited by your strengths. Don't hold yourself back to only doing the things you're good at. And it's so common that people do what she does. It's like, I'm not the best at it, I'm not great. And so that feels so gross that I'd just rather not do it at all.
And part of it is that we identify with that as part of who we are. Like, I'm a failure, or I am this, without really recognizing that we can always improve and get better at it. And that's really about the growth mindset, because literally your brain grows, and it might not grow so much in size, and it's not going to expand. Obviously, it's in a limited space, so your head doesn't get bigger, but
it grows in weight.
It grows in weight. You know, studies have shown that your brain grows in weight by studying and learning new things. So the same thing happens here, and a lot of times what happens when you have a fixed mindset doesn't mean that you have a fixed mindset in everything in your life, but in that particular area is that when you see that someone might be better at you, or whatever it is that you're not as talented in something, it's easy to walk away from it and give up, because we have an idea in our head that if it's something that we're natural at, that we should be doing, then it should come like natural for us. It should be
It shouldn't
easy.
take any effort.
Yeah, it shouldn't take any effort. But realistically, anything, like even being in that Zumba class, is helping yourself reframe it and realizing that those people are actually going to make you better, because they're more skilled, so they're going to help give you more skills by watching them, by modeling them, by learning some of the skills that they have.
And so really what it comes down to, again, we're not going to get into it in detail here, but if you ever find yourself in these experiences where that you resist not doing something because you're not good at it, or you do poorly at something and then you find yourself judging yourself and saying, well, I'm just not good at this isn't my thing, that's a signal that ultimately your core, you believe that your talents and your intelligence are fixed. That you're either born with it, and like that everyone's either like smart, dumb, or somewhere in between, and you have certain talents that you're good at. Like maybe you're good at singing, but you're terrible at sports, or maybe you're good at sports and you're terrible at singing, whatever. That it's just what you're born with. Or maybe you believe that these things develop but only to a certain age. So whatever that age is in your mind, after that, like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And we're told this in our society all the time. Our society is obsessed with the natural talents and natural intelligence. Like that's what our whole school systems are designed to emphasize is, oh, this person's bright, so it makes them better than everybody else. But the truth is that over and over and over and over and over again, the people who supposedly have these natural abilities are outperformed by people who had lower abilities because of this fixed mindset versus growth mindset. So in a nutshell, just knowing this, by the way, can help you change. So keep an open mind to that. So the fixed mindset people believe there's no reason to put in effort, because if I was naturally talented, it would come easy to me, and that would be the sign that this is what I'm supposed to do. Or if I was naturally intelligent enough to do this thing, then I would be good at it. And if I'm not good at it, then it means I'm not supposed to do it. Whereas a growth mindset person says, well, this is what I want to do, and if I try it now and I'm terrible at it, then what it means is I need to put in more effort. It means that I need to try harder. It means that I need to learn something in order to be good at it. And so the girl who made the comment, and she's talking about these girls in her class that are really great at Zumba. Well, she's looking at and she's not doing this intentionally. Unconsciously, her mind says, well, these people are better than me, and it must mean that they're better.
That they're more talented.
They're more talented. It just comes naturally to them. But what she might not know is maybe they've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Maybe they practice hours per week, not just show up at a Zumba class once a week. So she's not giving them credit for the effort that they put in. And so my favorite example is Michael Jordan. Everyone assumes he is just a raw, natural talent that was born to play basketball. And to a certain degree, he did have some innate abilities. His body was the right shape for it. He was athletic. So people do have a set point of what comes naturally to them. But he wasn't so good to the point where he actually got cut from his high school basketball team.
Because he wasn't good enough.
But he had work ethic like nobody else. Still to this day, they say he's the hardest worker of any basketball player that's ever existed. And that hard work is what made him become the best in history.
Well, even the fact that he won a championship and what he did right after the ceremony, he stayed in practice for several hours, and they were like, what are you doing? He's like, well, getting ready for next season, because he had this crazy work ethic. But even, and I look at my daughter, she's getting into animation and drawing and doing all that things. And I remember initially when she used to do art stuff in school, I had a teacher tell me she'll never be an artist. And
it was terrible.
And then what she did was that she really dedicated the time. And I said, well, you can improve it. Just let's learn some techniques and stuff. We watched some videos of people telling how you can improve your drawing. And in a few months, she is drawing things that are blowing me away. It's like, wow, this is amazing. It's crazy. It makes me want to get into drawing and art. But even for me, going back to school, a lot of people said, oh, you weren't smart enough. I failed my first year of college. And really learning psychology was one of the most important things that I could have done in my life. Because when I started learning about neuropsychology and how the brain works and how our neural connections, when you learn something, your connections rewire themselves to really fortify that area to make it work more efficient and quicker. So you can really grow your brain. When I truly understood that, I was like, wow, there's nothing I can't do if I'm willing to dedicate the time to learning it. So one of the best things that you could do to develop a real growth mindset is to have specific areas in your life that you can trace back and say, yeah, I was terrible at this, or I wasn't that good at it, and then I did learn it, I studied it, or I did practiced it, or whatever you did to make yourself better and really be able to show yourself that. Another part about the growth mindset is recognizing that just doing more of something doesn't actually make you better. For example, I have people that say, well, I'm going to coach. And that person that might say, well, I'm going to coach for free for a year. Just because you're coaching doesn't necessarily make you a better coach. I know people that have been in the industry for 20 years and they actually got better initially, and after that they plateau because they weren't really growing and developing, doing more of something. If you want to, for example, play golf and be better at playing golf, playing more golf doesn't make you better. What makes you better is learning strategies and tools. Just as a coach, what's going to make you better is learning strategies and tools that are going to help you improve. So in anything that you're trying to get better in life, it's not just saying, well, I'm going to do more of it. Is what specifically do I need to learn? For example, if you're a leader and you want to be a better leader, maybe your communication skills, your speaking skills, maybe the way that you give feedback, that's a skill in itself. Maybe coaching skills to help your employees be coached. Whatever it is that you're trying to do is break it down into segments and say, these are all the different departments that I need to work on to really improve that skill. And that's what's going to help you become better.
And so really, if you really think about that, if you go out and you have a terrible golf swing and you just keep doing the same terrible golf swing over and over again, you're not making any progress.
Yeah.
Instead,
you're actually making it worse.
You have to seek someone to show you how to improve
Yeah.
that golf swing. Or maybe you have to build muscles in a certain area so that you can do it better. Just like with our daughter's drawing, that, you know, if all she did was sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and draw, it's not likely that she would have improved. But what she did is she learned the basics.
Mm-hmm.
She took the time to look at how do you actually put together shapes to make a face. And once she got that down, then when she was practicing something that she grew
Mm-hmm.
in. And so just so that you can really see full circle here, if at the core you don't believe that your talent can improve or change, or that your intelligence increases as you learn, then you're not going to seek out
Mm-hmm.
to learn and grow. You're more likely to be the person that says, I'm going to do this, and then all you do is just keep repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again, instead of actually seeking to grow. You have to be humble enough to say, it's okay that I'm not good at this, but I want to be, because learning this skill is a stepping stone to where I want to go.
Yeah. And I actually see this with entrepreneurs and coaches that I work with, is that they're saying, well, I want to develop my business. I've tried everything. It just doesn't work. Maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I'm not talented enough, or I'm not good enough to really make this work. And so I ask them, so what have you done? And they'll look at me and say, well, I did this. And okay, what else did you do? I did this. Okay, that's great. What else did you do? And they usually come up with like maybe one or two things that they've done or tried.
But I tried everything.
But they stopped right there. So they didn't actually continue to grow and develop. So whatever you're trying to do in your life, whether it's your relationship, whether it's a coaching practice, whether you're another business that you have, or just improving in your life, your emotional state, whatever it is recognizing that it's a growth process, and that every setback is an opportunity to let you know that what can I learn from that situation? What can I do different next time? Or what knowledge do I need? So it's all a teaching experience for you. And as long as you're willing to learn from all that process, long term, you'll be able to transform your life in every aspect of your life. You'll be able to gain confidence and really empower yourself to realize that there's nothing that you can't do in this life. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that there's nothing that if we want to create it, we can't create it. Why? Because I truly believe that we can grow, and I know that we're willing to commit to putting the time and energy and effort. So all I'm asking you to do is to commit that if you have a specific goal, if you have something that you want to create in your life, tell yourself, are you willing to commit to learn whatever you need to learn to actually make it work and make it happen?
And we do get asked all the time how we do it. And there are some practical answers to that. But more than anything, what's allowed us to do it is when we have a failure of some sort. Something doesn't go our way. It seems like a roadblock pops up in front of us, that other people would look at that as oh, well, it's a sign that this isn't meant to be, that I'm not good at this, that I need to go a different path, that this isn't the niche for me, and that they see it as a sign that there's something wrong with them, or that they shouldn't do it. Where when we see those things, we're actually grateful for them, because it's like, okay, well, now we know that that doesn't work, and it's an opportunity for us to get clarity of what we want, or something we can do differently. So the biggest underlying thing is that anytime something pops up that gets in your way, look at it from the perspective of what can this teach me and how can I grow from this, instead of, is this telling me to stop? Because it's never a stop sign, never.
Yeah. Unless you want it to be.
Yeah.
So, and the other part is also when you, I think this is a perfect example with the Zumba thing and other areas of your life where you want to be the best, is one of the things that I have to embrace in myself is being around people that were more talented or more skilled or more intelligent in that specific area. Because by being around those people, it pushed me to grow and develop. And I'm not going to lie, I've been around a lot of entrepreneurs, especially when I was starting out, that were so much more successful than me. And even today, I surround myself with people that are so much more successful and sometimes intimidating. You know, when you see all the things that you're doing, I'm like, wow, what am I doing? You know, I need to bring my A game. But it's recognizing that I still love being around those circumstances because they help me improve. They help me look at life differently. They help me change my lens and really recognize that there are still areas that I continually can improve. And they help me point out what those areas truly are. So.
Well, actually, and do ask yourself this, in any part of your life, whether it's professional or personal, have you ever purposefully surrounded yourself with people that would make you look good? That can be a hard question to answer. And if you're not like that, you probably know people that are. And I just want to use like the leadership scenario. We just did a course on this, but the leadership scenario is an example. And so you might have worked for one of these people. So someone who has a fixed mindset that's in a leadership position, like a manager, they will purposefully hire people that are not as great as they could be because they feel threatened by people working under them that are smarter than them. So the difference is that someone with a growth mindset who's in a leadership position, that same position, they will purposefully find people to fill positions that are way better at that position than the manager would be, because their goal is to make the department as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
But the fixed mindset person can't, because they feel threatened by anyone that could potentially be smarter than them. And so everyone I know has known someone like this. And you can probably imagine the difference that it makes in an employee-employer situation when that happens. So, but it also happens in your own life. If you surround yourself with people that are like ultimately holding you back, versus if you surround yourself with people that inspire you because they've gone where you want to go and they're better at it than you are, your life is going to be very, very different.
And again, it doesn't mean that you're either or.
Yeah.
You can be a growth mindset when it comes to your coaching business and a fixed mindset when it comes to your relationship. So it's just recognizing that it does fluctuate. You can have a growth mindset and all of a sudden like reach somewhere in your career and then get a fixed mindset thinking that now you know everything. So it does fluctuate to a time. But at the end of the day, is looking for ways that you can grow. And obviously if you're watching this, if you've taken one of our courses, you have a growth mindset because you're looking to grow and develop. You might have a fixed mindset in other parts of your life, you know, and again, we all do to a certain level, and it's recognizing and then transforming that into a growth mindset. But we commend you. We appreciate you sending us questions. Like we said, we hope to do this more often to be able to help you in your journey continue to grow and develop. You inspire us, so thank you for everything that you're doing to make a difference in other people's lives, because as we learn about what you're doing, the creative ways that you're doing it, it really is inspiring, and we commend you and we thank you for planting the seeds of change and transformation in other people's lives.
And I just want to throw in there how much we appreciate and recognize that you would even watch a video like this, because the truth is the most people don't put themselves first. They don't value their own development and growth. They don't put in the time it takes to create a better life, regardless of if it's just for yourself personally or as a coach or to help other people or to create a business, whatever it's for, that in order for you to grow, you have to be willing to put in the time and do things like this. So we're always excited to know that we get to work with the most like growth oriented people out there that actually engage with us, are on this journey of growth together.
So thank you, Annabelle, and thank you for everyone, and we look truly forward to seeing how your journey continues to evolve and sharing our journey as it continues to evolve. So we wish you many blessings, and we look forward to doing this again.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.